Welcome to Toronto. In the last episode, we explored Toronto's intellectual and creative corridor, from the University of Toronto, the Annex, and Koreatown to Kensington Market, Chinatown, Queen Street West, and Midtown. In part 2, we were at Harbourfront, Union Station, Financial District, St. Lawrence Market, Distillery District, Corktown, Cabbagetown, Church Wellesley, Downtown Yonge, and Yorkville. In the first episode, it was a look at Toronto's island, Anlan's Point, Centre Island, and Wards Island, and the story of how they came to be. Today, we're heading somewhere different. We're leaving behind the downtown core, the campuses, and the commercial corridors to explore the neighborhoods where many Torontonians actually live their daily lives. From the east end to the west end, these communities have been shaped by successive waves of immigration, industrial change, gentrification, and local identity. If the last episode was about Toronto's ideas and culture, this one is about the neighborhoods that give the city its character. Riverdale is the residential counterpart to the Leslieville commercial story. It's that neighborhood that went through the same Eastern transformation, but it's primarily characterized by its housing rather than its street-level retail. Riverdale Park East sits at the top of the escarpment with one of the best free views of the Toronto skyline available anywhere in the city. Crossing the pedestrian bridge that runs over the Don Valley Parkway will bring you to Riverdale Park West and Riverdale Farm. The Riverdale Farm in the middle of a residential neighborhood is a little bit of an anomaly. A working farm that is operating on public land in an urban context poses a little bit of a land use question, but I don't think the residents of this neighborhood seem to mind. Riverdale Park, the Riverdale Farm specifically, actually shares border with Cabbagetown. Part 2 of the series has more information about the Cabbagetown neighborhood. On the walk from Riverdale towards Leslieville is a small strip of Chinese stores. And yes, there are more than one Chinatowns in the Greater Toronto area. I think we actually have about 7 Chinatowns because, one is never enough. East Chinatown is a Chinese neighborhood located in Toronto's East End. It was formed in the early 1970s and it's centered on Gerrard Street East between Broadview Avenue and Carlow Avenue. Toronto's 2 main Chinatowns exist primarily because the city's original Chinese enclave was demolished in the 1950s to build Toronto City Hall. So the displaced residents and businesses were forced to migrate west and east, resulting in the diverse hubs you see today. West Chinatown, centered at Spadina Avenue and Dundas Street West, is the city's largest and most famous Chinese hub. Check out more of this place in part 2 of the series. East Chinatown is located in the Riverdale neighborhood at Gerrard Street East and Broadview Avenue. If you explore further into the Greater Toronto area, you'll find the Chinese population has continued to spread and have grown into cities like Markham and Richmond Hill, which now feature some of the largest Chinese communities in North America. East of the Don River, bounded by the railway line and Gerrard Street to the north, Empire Avenue to the west, Eastern Avenue to the south and Coxwell Avenue to the east is the neighborhood of Leslieville. Toronto Star actually once called it Hipsterville East. Leslieville has had one of the highest rates of gentrification among Toronto's neighborhoods, next to the likes of Greektown and Riverdale. Years ago, the streets of Leslieville used to be lined with soda pop shops and family-run businesses. The neighborhood's prime location near the beaches, the easy commute to downtown, proximity to the Don Valley Parkway, all these have been very instrumental in its rapid development over the years. Queen Street East is the major commercial strip in this neighborhood, with endless restaurants and cafes, food markets, yoga studios, pet shops, and boutique stores. Leslieville is the clearest gentrification case study in Toronto right now because the timeline is recent enough that you can still see both stages in the same block. It used to be a working-class neighborhood that was built around industrial employment along the lakeshore, the Lever Brothers soap factory, and manufacturing along the Eastern Avenue corridor. When the industrial employment left, the neighborhood declined. When the artists and the young professionals arrived in the early 2000s, the Queen East commercial strip began its transformation. Leslieville now has a family-friendly but still very hip atmosphere that has made it one of the city's most sought-after neighborhoods for young families to live in, and among the most fun to visit. You find lots of locals come here for weekend brunch, and foodies also come here for the numerous restaurants and bar options. The beaches is what happens when a neighborhood gets to keep its lake access, and the property values also reflect that. The area derives its name from the sandy public beaches that span its southern shoreline: Woodbine Beach, Kill Beach, and Balmy Beach. It's a lakefront leisure neighborhood with a village-scale commercial strip on Queen East, high property values that are anchored by the lakefront access and the boardwalk, and a demographic that is made up of established professionals and families. The beaches neighborhood is close enough to downtown that it makes commuting to the financial district for work very visible. And the people who live here have awesome outdoor amenities that, of course, includes a series of beaches, but also lots of parks, tennis courts, and a shopping strip along Queen Street that's very touristy, but still does a good job of catering to the locals. With the beaches giving that out of town for the weekend vibe, the lifestyle in this Toronto neighborhood is quite laid back. Gerrard Street East, still in the east end of Toronto, is less of a residential enclave and more of a commercial destination. People come here from across the GTA, from Brampton, from Mississauga, from Scarborough, to shop at its numerous stores. It's a regional hub that serves the diaspora that is dispersed across the suburbs. As you can see, South Asian culture abounds in these vibrant neighborhoods. You typically find all-in-the-wall chat houses that serve traditional Indian street food, also coexisting with trendy new brew pubs and art galleries. The highlight of this area is the Gerard India Bazaar, and it's the largest South Asian market in North America. It's packed with jewelries, furnishings, spices, silks. You can find anything here. Its original hub that houses the largest collection of South Asian restaurants, sari stores, and Bollywood movie rental shops in North America. The Greek community that built this neighborhood mostly moved to the suburbs decades ago. They moved to Scarborough, to North York, and to other suburbs across the GTA. But the restaurants, the festivals, and the identity still remained. The neighborhood's commercial brand is now the asset, and it's maintained by a combination of long-established businesses, community investments, and that economic logic of a street that draws people specifically because it feels like the Danforth. The strip of Danforth Avenue, traditionally known as Greektown, has evolved into a diverse community hub of multicultural cuisines, shops, and independent grocers. It's still home to one of the largest Greek communities in North America, and you'll see the street signs are in English as well as in Greek. Several scenes from My Big Fat Greek Wedding were actually filmed here. The fact that the Greek identity in this commercial corridor has outlasted the departure of much of its Greek residential population is very interesting because it inverts the usual gentrification sequence. This place is a case study in how ethnic commercial identity can persist as a self-reinforcing economic system, even when the founding demographic has geographically dispersed. As you can see so far, Toronto isn't defined by a single downtown or one famous landmark. It's a collection of neighborhoods that are shaped by different history, economy, and community. If you're new to this series, I'd recommend starting with the earlier episodes. In part 1, I explored the Toronto Islands. It's part history, part economics, and explains why this incredible piece of waterfront looks the way it does today. Part 2 focuses on the downtown core and the waterfront, exploring the city's financial center, harborfront, Old Town, and Yorkville. Part 3 was about the University of Toronto and the annex to Kensington Market, Chinatown, Queen Street West, and up to Midtown. These neighborhoods tell the story of how ideas, culture, and creativity have helped shape Toronto into the city it is today. All the videos are linked in the description box. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.